Finally, after a 2-year hiatus, Squid Game returned for another season, and for many, it was worth the wait. The Korean production weaves a tale full of social commentary for the modern age. Ji-hun is just one of many participants in the titular game who feel they are out of options. Heavily in debt with a daughter he can't provide for, Ji-hun accepts the opportunity to participate in a series of games that will yield a cash reward to whoever wins. The only catch: these games are deadly. The trick of Squid Game, unlike the Hunger Games or Battle Royale, is that these games are voluntary. Every player is given the choice to join, and there is even the option to stop the game upon a majority vote. This fact is what makes the social commentary in the series so poignant. People have been so crushed by capitalism that they feel getting this money is worth their lives. Season 2 of Squid Game continues this gripping story with even more twists. For those who race to the end of all 7 episodes, it doesn't exactly mean the end. Squid Game is not the first series to take on the status quo in a long-form television story. While short-lived, 1-2-season series hit the nail on the head in a similar fashion. When The Purge first premiered in 2013, it wasn't met with a lot of fanfare. James DeMonico's meditation on how the poor are treated in America was misinterpreted as a run-of-the-mill slasher. Starring Ethan Hawke and Lena Headey, the film follows an affluent family on the most violent night of the year. One night for 12 hours, all crime is legalized, including murder. The only ones that are exempt are high-ranking politicians. The corrupt political party, known as the New Founding Fathers of America, instilled this national holiday predicated on the philosophy that Americans need to purge their bad feelings. Crime is at an all-time low in America, but there is a good reason for this. The rich people who can afford expensive security systems are safe in their houses, while the poor are targeted. Edwin Hodges' character, known only as the Bloody Stranger in the first film, makes this thesis crystal clear. As a black homeless veteran, he represents the systemic issues present in America. He spends a film attempting to escape white prep school kids from killing him in a social commentary that could not be more on the nose. Despite all the ills that befall him, he still retains his humanity and makes the most selfless act. He appears in subsequent films, now named Dante Bishop, and leads the resistance against the brutal night. If the first Purge film wasn't telling enough, DeMonico makes sure the message hits home in the follow-up, Purge: Anarchy. This time, the film follows a grieving father, played by Frank Grillo, who decides to use the night to punish a man who killed his son in a hit-and-run. Along the way, he finds a ragtag group of people who are unlucky enough to find themselves outside on the night in question. One pair, Eva and her daughter Callie, are part of a tenement block that has been razed to the ground. The characters discover that this is government-sanctioned, a way to cull the poor population of America. In each film, DeMonico finds a new way to create a commentary on issues in America long after it seemed the films had a shelf life. This concept was continued in the highly underrated USA series, also titled The Purge. Each season tracks the events of a specific purge, following characters who are impacted by the holiday in different ways. The Purge is a series that is perfect for the anthology setup that has become so popular in recent years. There is no shortage of stories to tell in this horrifying world that seems closer to reality than ever before. Season 1 is a cut-and-dry story about a Marine trying to find his sister, who has decided to purge herself as part of a cult initiative. The stakes are high, and the conclusion is satisfying. But Season 2 brings the series closer to the stakes of Squid Game. With an airtight concept like The Purge and Squid Game, there may be only one story to tell. How many times can Ji-hun go into these games? But in both cases, the sophomore seasons raise the stakes in interesting ways. These countries have similarities because of how the status quo takes advantage of the poor population. Neither The Purge nor Squid Game would be able to function without high rollers, ensuring their bottom line continues. Each season of Squid Game plants a double agent within the contestants. In Season 1, Player 001 was the creator of the games trying to make a point, while Season 2 dresses the front man in the 001 uniform. The Squid Games may boast fairness and free will, but there are controls in place to make the gameplay more interesting for those who are watching it. The Purge also has interference from the government, something that the Season 2 character, Esme, doesn't believe in at first, as explained by the Purge executive producers. We have Esme, who is our NFA representative. She works in the surveillance center, and she's our way into that world, executive producer Crystal Houghton Ziv told Entertainment Weekly. She's a true believer when she starts the season. She thinks the Purge is keeping crime low the rest of the year. But then she gets wind of this conspiracy, and she starts to realize that the people she's put her trust in are not what they seem. Citizens are led to believe that Purge Night is a public service. They think that supporting violence one night betters the country as a whole. It is only when characters take a closer look do they see this logic breaks down. In her capacity on the surveillance team, Esme learns that there is a conspiracy behind Purge Night. As she goes through personal issues, her fight against the NFFA becomes a crusade, and she ultimately becomes a martyr to the resistance against the government. Her status as a symbol is similar to G.I. Hun, who can't help but help those around him. Though it was never his intention to join the games again, once he is there, he becomes a source of inspiration for many. The knowledge that he survived the games once before and is steadfast in his resistance against the games makes him an icon. Ultimately, The Purge and Squid Game are television series about combating an insurmountable force, even if it seems impossible. The fascinating thing about watching The Purge and Squid Game in conjunction is the differences between cultures. The Purge is a series that could only happen in America, similar to the systemic issues found in Breaking Bad. Squid Game's country of origin doesn't have the same issues and values as America, so some details differ. At its core, however, both series make pointed commentaries about how the rich abuse the rest of society. It comes as no surprise when Squid Game reveals that altruism isn't the reason for the game's creation. The games were created for a higher class to get entertainment out of watching the poor kill each other. While slightly more subtle than in the Purge films, the television series has a consistent theme of impoverished people always being the victims. In Season 1, Miguel realizes his sister has been indoctrinated into a death cult. She was vulnerable due to drugs and the lack of parental authority in their formative years. Having minimal resources makes them prime targets for Purge victims. The season also shows the grim reality of being in the inner circle of the NFFA. All the more affluent characters have been stripped of their humanity and don't see poor people as people at all. This is how the Squid